awesome getting to talk to you again, man. Like, I'm so excited how far Propbase has come. It feels like just yesterday we were talking. You're like, well, we were thinking about doing X, Y, and Z things, and here we are. And you have so much happening, so much going on. I would love for you to just kind of break down what's happening over there. But before we do that, give everybody a little intro, because I know how awesome you are, but I want to make sure that they know how awesome you are as well.
Yeah, thanks, Action. Obviously, we've known each other for a long time, and we've come a long ways. But so hi, welcome everyone. Last time we were here on a stream, it was a while ago, and so we're happy to be back and provide an update. So I'm Kevin Ghost, the CEO of Propbase. And Propbase is a real estate tokenization platform building on the Aptos blockchain, and we focus on tokenizing hotels and resorts in Southeast Asia. And so that's kind of us in a nutshell. And I think we've got a lot going on. We're quite happy. We've just announced our fourth product to mainnet. So we've got a lot of product out there, and we're very happy about it.
And there's this ramp up with, like, I think you were calling it Propbase Ascend, if I'm not mistaken, where you're just gonna be hitting the market with a bunch of different things over the course of a couple of weeks, right?
Yeah, we do. So, I mean, we've always done marketing campaigns. This one's a little bit different. So we've decided to go with a pretty cool theme. And we always put it around like branded marketing names. Mm-hmm. So we're calling this one Propbase Ascend. It's really, with an objective is we have 4 weeks. We've got 4 events. We're already now into week 2, which is kind of our biggest event. But last week we bridged our native utility token props to the Ethereum blockchain. We also, launched our bridge. So we built our own custom-made product. We cooperated and worked a lot with Layer 0 in doing so, and Certic for our audits. And it's been phenomenal. And we're already bridged to base chain, but Ethereum was a big one for us. And so we're excited, and went off quite well. And now we're on to week 2, and then week 3, we've got more RWA focus. This week is focused a lot on our top 10 exchange listing. And then we have another exchange that we'll do at the end of the month. So overall, I like to do things that are kind of fun, where there's a jam-packed, agenda, and put a little bit of pressure and heat on ramping things up. And so, I think August is always kind of been in our timeline. And about every 3 to 4 months, we like to host, a kind of a significant marketing push. And that's kind of when we've, rolled out more products. We're ready to show them off. We've gone through a lot of testing. We've got, everything working. And that kind of what makes us feel good about, everything that we're building and putting forward.
No, I love that. But let me just hit up this RWA space as a whole, because you're early in comparison to everybody else. Like, people are literally still trying to get onboarded and trying to figure out, get their bearings essentially in RWAs. And you've been doing it for a while, and you've been doing it well. I think this is like my personal opinion on this thing, but I think I'm probably right. I've been around long enough to where I've seen people do this thing wrong, but you didn't try to be everything for everyone. You focused on a very specific niche. And I think that's done very well for Propbase, simply because I don't think A, you have any competition, and B, people see you as the expert in this field. Would you agree with that?
Well, our backgrounds, I mean, yeah. So myself, our leadership team, our technical team, we're very vertically focused on solving one particular problem, and just putting 100% of our efforts into doing it really, really well. So that's my ethos in, building prop tech stacks, building products. We want to solve a problem. We create a new value proposition. And real estate is just so big that, it involves another deeper level when you get down into how we're going to build blockchain, Web3 products, and change, the inaccessibility that real estate investment has always had, as well as the low liquidity. And so we've kind of laser focused. So, we're focused on tokenizing largely, reputable kind of brand name, third-party managed, like global hotels. So that's also kind of progressive. But yeah, I think that, and our focus doesn't really change. We just get better and better. We go through V1, V2 of our products, and we like that. We like to have that focus, and it's also easy for, I think, community people, investors, whether they're accredited, sophisticated, or small funds. They're also understanding that, hey, we're not trying to bridge out and tokenize different types of asset classes, which I have no background in, right? And so, but real estate investment, building prop tech platforms are in almost in our entire careers. So we've done it successfully in the past. We've had multiple exits in the past. And Propbase is a solution to the problems that we experienced in building those tech stacks before. And that's worked quite well for us. And so we it's nice seeing also the narrative come around. And it's also nice seeing, the attraction that people have for the types of products that we put onto Propbase. So all those things have been quite good so far, but we're also, we're I almost like to say that we're like more seasoned. So we've built, successful businesses in the past. And I think having that laser focus is what makes us particularly able to solve the problem that Propbase sets out to solve.
Yeah, you're not trying to, play in anybody else's playground. You're essentially sticking to your core competencies, and it shows. It shows with not only how far you've come, but you're still here. Like, it's crazy to say that, but like nowadays, if you've been around long enough and you haven't folded, that's a huge success. And you guys are not only doing that, but you're thriving. I mean, you're talking about exchange listing, you're talking about all the things that are happening, with this latest marketing push, and it's pretty exciting. I know that I have to cover a few things for people that may not understand how Propbase works and might be seeing this for the first time, because obviously you have not yet captured the entire market. You'll get there, but just not quite yet. Let's talk props, the token, the utility. Cool. It's not getting dumped, which is different than a lot of different tokens out there. There's utility to it, and people actually a lot of it is locked up, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, correct. So we have good tokenomics. There's a few things. So props is our native utility token. If you want to interact with RWA assets on our platform, you need to have some props. If you don't have them, you need to go buy them on an exchange like a SEX listing or like a centralized exchange or a decentralized exchange. And we were the highest ranked IDO of 2023. And we had a phenomenal 2024. And our kind of tokenomics are designed in a way where there's low inflation. We have like an 8-year vesting schedule. We have high utility built into a lot of our products. And we built what we call Propbase Yield, which is our staking platform. So people can go in, they can instantly, if they still can interact or access our products, they can instantly get in and they can earn benefits. And so that's what makes us feel good. There's something to do with it rather than sitting on a wallet and, you have a lot of people buy and sell when price movement changes. And so we've kind of built out what we feel comfortable with. And it was what specifically like Hudson, who's another part of a person in our leadership team, he was like, hey, look, we want to build something that can last, something that people can hold on to. Obviously, we've got, tons of speculation on price. Propbase in and of itself does marketing campaigns around we list on top 10 exchanges. Last week we did our bridging. So there's a whole bunch of stuff where, it's quite exciting. And so we run 2 roadmaps. We run one for our props native utility token, where we're constantly expanding it, getting more holders on chain. Then our second roadmap is where we focus specifically on RWA real estate products. And so it's worked well for us, but it is kind of 2 businesses into one,
And do you find it to ever confuse your user base?
No, it doesn't. Yeah. So people can see if we kind of they can see what we're building because we're pretty good in terms of product updates. So And even next week, we're releasing it. So anytime you log into one of our products, you can see what were the updates since the last time you logged in. But we also do come out with like monthly, articles and things like that. Right now, we have 3 products in development, but the most one that people are after is our mobile app. So we just started on that recently, and we have about a 2-month build out. But we're excited, So that's kind of one of our objectives. So one of our objectives is really how can we bridge that gap from Web 2 users to coming onto Web 3, because you still, and we kind of, for us, a mobile application is a stepping stone to that, and then we progress down that road further and further, and that's kind of our focus.
So you're not just going out there and trying to steal the 7 people that are already in crypto. You're actually trying to onboard new people.
Trying to onboard new people. Yeah, because we do have quite a few people, specifically, more, let's say special, we call them, in the United States, you call them, accredited investors or specialized investors. These people aren't so familiar with, and they're really into real estate investing. And while, Propbase might be the more riskier part of their portfolio, on the crypto side, we're actually the least risky side of people's portfolio. What we want to think, tokens that are backed by real world assets, and have intrinsic real world value. But yeah, I think one of our approaches, just because we focus in Southeast Asia, massive crypto community, don't get me wrong. We have something, I think our announcement last week was like 60,000 on-chain holders. So 60,000 on-chain holders is pretty good for, a project our size. And, it's substantial. And but we're always going for that. Our long-term play is really, onboarding Web 2 users into a Web 3 environment, and but without sacrificing decentralization. So everything we do is interacting with contracts, and so that's kind of.
And you're dead on. You're dead on as far as the investment type of things you're talking about. Like even myself, like before I was even able to get to that accredited investor level, not even that I ever, even tried to go into investments that are like that. But like real estate is awesome around the, just across the board. And I know plenty of people that have tried to expand their reach, right? Talking about mineral rights, for example, that's a big one. People are like, oh, we can do this, this is a really cool asset. Let's go ahead and own it. But I've never had the opportunity of having a yield bearing RWA like yours until, Propbase came along. So you're really not only allowing these investors like myself to take a look at these new verticals that they can be a part of, but you're running the whole thing. You're just saying, we know how to do this well. We know how to do it right. Go ahead. And if you believe that we can do it, come on in. Like that's changing the game. I think that's what people don't understand about RWAs. A lot of times that they try to create products around things that make absolutely no sense. And people get upset with me all the time in regards to RWAs when I say like, why? They're not asking that question. Like they're just like, we're going to tokenize this. I'm like, why? Does it make it better? Are you going to increase the liquidity? Is it going to actually improve the experience? Because if you're not doing any of that, what's the point? But when you have products like yours, it makes sense.
It does make sense. And the cool thing about it, I mean, I'm a passionate, blockchain developer. There's tons of protocols on Aptos that are doing incredible DeFi things, and across many chains. Aave I've been going into tons of times now, but with our type of RWA, it's cool because you understand where the yield's coming from. It's coming from the performance of the asset, which is generated either by like rental, whether it's room rates or monthly stays, that kind of stuff. And so it's kind of clear, right? And then you don't have to get so involved in like the property management and property upkeep. And, no one's picking up, phone calls at 2 a.m. in the morning because a water pipe broke or something like that. So, I mean, we have really good asset managers. So, 4-star hotel brands, give it to them. They can do a better job than what I ever could. So, and, but that makes us feel good, right? Also, we're tokenizing, for people who are just familiar or hopping on, we tokenize specifically in Thailand. We like Southeast Asia, and Thailand's just growing in tourism. So they're not going to be able to build enough hotels fast enough That's for sure. And so many hotels operate at 90%, 95% occupancy.
Wow.
And it's kind of insane. Yeah. So and we don't kind of see it slowing down. I think they're projecting. Pre-COVID, Thailand used to get around 40 million tourists, and they just bounced back to, I think, above 40 million a year now, and they're projecting by 2027, to scale up to about 80 million. And so that's not Kevin's stats. That's the Ministry of Tourism, but and I can see that they'll probably hit those targets too.
Wow. No, and I've been invited over the last 2 years. I can't tell you how many times to come to Thailand. They're like, you got to check this place out. And that was something that was not really on my radar a few years ago. So I can definitely attest, at least, to my experience here. Like, this is definitely something that people are not only talking about, inviting others, but it's a pretty big buzz. Like, everybody says, oh, it's so cheap here. And I'm like, okay, so is that a good thing? And usually what it boils down to, it's like, yes, but only because it's good. If it was cheap and it was terrible, it wouldn't be good. But it's affordable, and you actually get to have a great time and enjoy yourself. So I can definitely understand where this is coming from. But with that being said, does that mean that the asset doesn't yield as much because the economics of the country are a little bit different? Or what does that look like? Are we talking about buying a cheap asset and earning not much on it? Or like, what does that look like as far as return on investment?
Yeah, ours is pretty standard. It's nothing outrageous. But it's real, right? And it's based off statistical 10-year results. But, I have a funny story. So I don't know if I should. Well, I'll tell it.
No, you should.
Yeah. So I've been fortunate enough in Southeast Asia. The real estate industry here has just done phenomenally well for a long period of time. I'm talking 20 years, despite crises, everything, whether regional or global, but our assets yield about 5% annual asset appreciation year on year. You could go as far as to say 5 to 6%. In addition to that, the net yield from specifically our case, the types of tokens or the types of hotels we tokenize, they yield about 6.5% net after costs. And gross is significantly higher, but there's hotel management costs, everything.
Overhead,
a little bit of overhead and stuff. So you get about 5 to 6%, and then you get about 6.5% liquid, and which in our case we pay out in USDC. So yeah, I think
you're not paying out in your own token, so people can just dump it.
No, yeah, no. I mean, like, there is kind of a boundary, right, where we are trying to kind of navigate this RWA play, and then we do integrate a lot of utility for props, but that's more like access, transaction fees, those type of things, and we also invest in the types of assets that we bring onto our platform at the same price that anyone would, right? So and we do that because I think it's good that we like to buy our own assets or invest in our own assets, be our investors on our platform, just like anyone else. But also we just love using the products, right? So yeah, I think it's good, but it's also less risky, right? So these aren't pre-construction buildings. You're not, buying air in a sky, or it's not a jungle. Like, the buildings have been around for a long time. I've worked with this property developer who just absolutely loves us. We have multiple property developers we work with, but just loves us for a long time. Honestly, wants his own investment platform, and so one of our roadmap things is a white label solution that will be developing a little bit down the road. But for right now, we just want to onboard as many assets as we can on Propbase, and do so at the speed and get the good results that we like, and continue to improve all of our products, V1, V2, V3, and yeah. So I think it's a good run.
Now, obviously, you believe in this RWA space, as do I. What do you looking at over the next few months? Because everyone has, we got this 4-year cycle when it comes to Bitcoin. Sometimes a lot of people are like, wait, it's actually a liquidity cycle. But when you're talking about real assets, that doesn't always have the negative impact of the bear right away, right? That's why I like to be diverse in these kinds of investments, because if one thing is dropping, that's okay. I have others that can support it long term because they're not necessarily tied into the same mechanics as others. What do you see for the RWA space, in your opinion, over, let's say, 12, 18 months?
Yeah, I think that there's like any narrative. What's cool is RWA is becoming its own segment of the market, right? Awesome, amazing. And the sector grows in adoption. We've seen some announcements, and people are onboarding, and new whatever types of different tokenization offerings they're having. So market's building up, but it's not completely all going to come on chain at once. So we have to understand that we're, in my case, I deal with conservative people with a conservative real estate asset class, and we're a conservative part of their portfolio, right? And so we have a massive onboarding process when we go to new property developers, and we first have to say, hey, look, here's the benefits, but here's also potential risks, downsides. But for us, we've been able to mitigate most of those just in the way we build our infrastructure. So we want to make sure that, hey, look, if there's volatility in the market, that no matter what, those type of things wouldn't necessarily as impact real estate backed tokens as per se, rather than, a little bit more standard market volatility, but nothing like crypto markets, right? So we see tokens, newly launched go down 99%. And then you've got some YouTuber who's like, this is going to go down another 99%. And you're like, oh my God, I can't take it anymore. But our tokens trade at like plus or minus 5% for, a while. So it's not it's not entirely stable. There's some volatility, but it's nothing that's, extravagant. And so for us, we like that and we feel comfortable with it. So I think the next 18 months is you're going to see more assets becoming on chain, and it's going to be now accessible for those who have, Web3 funds. And I think that's the greater play here. So I don't see RWA as a narrative ever slowing down, by the way. I think, you've got Robinhood, who's going to be tokenizing stocks. You've had multiple attempts before, but now you've got the big brand names into it. For us in tokenization, we've got tons of inventory that we can continue to onboard, tons of property developers we can continue to work with. And we have a lot of demand, right? So, for us, I think, aside from cycles and volatility, the cool thing about myself and probably most RWA builders is that, hey, look, we're building a longer term business, and 1 or 2 year cycles or downturns, they don't affect us as much. It's more about, like, let's say in the next 10 years, where is it going to be? Well, I think everything's coming on chain. I think, that's what gets, the price of Bitcoin up to, tens of millions of dollars. And I think being able to have that, accessibility there, and now real estate assets or stocks or bonds coming up. And I think we'll see, more partnerships, more announcement. Propbase definitely has more bigger partnerships planned for the coming months, which we think are cool. Just, and no sneak or teaser or any there. It's just more types of assets that we continue to tokenize that we like. And
but within your core competencies, like, you're not going outside of it?
No. No. I get a lot of questions like, hey, can you tokenize in the United States? But technically, the funny part is we are all Americans, but we operate in our backgrounds are all entirely Southeast Asia. But it's like, hey, look, we've got a lot to do here. Thailand specifically, I would say by 2026 we'll be entering another country, but that will also be regionally focused here, right? So yeah, I think for us, our growth path is onboarding more assets, larger asset offerings, and a lot of the deals that we work through, they take a significant amount of time to negotiate, right? And we have to make sure that we do it correctly. And so we've been, knock on wood, we've been lucky so far, but we also put a lot of work into it.
Yeah, I mean, and it shows that's exactly what it boils down to. Like, if you're, focusing on your core competencies, you're not trying to go outside of that and say, well, we have a tokenization platform. Let's go ahead and figure out commodities, for example. That's a whole different beast. So many different things you're dealing with, and you might not be prepared, and it'd be a stretch,
Yeah, I mean, the mission, which whenever you hear me talk about Propbase, our mission is to be the largest and most recognized real estate tokenization platform in Southeast Asia. And you'll hear me say that 24 months from now. And I think that we have a huge opportunity ahead of us. We're greenfield, meaning there's no direct competition. Yep. We have the backgrounds to be able to do it. We obviously prove that we have the tech stacks, and the products we're building are being used and doing well, and overly trafficked, overly subscribed, right? So yeah, our objective is just to laser focus in on that narrative and figure out how, when I work with my leadership team, it's like, hey, look, we just say, this is where we want to be 5 years from now. What do we need to do this year? And, what do we need to do next year? But also, like any project, there's small pivots and changes for us. And also for us, we have to be careful about what is our core competencies in terms of product development, right? We're not particularly bridge developers, but we work directly with Layer 0, who have very audited smart contracts, massive 15, 20 million bug bounties. We went through a CertiK audit. We were like, okay, we need this because this is going to be a core attribute to the growth of our native utility token and be able to onboard us to more chains. So while we'll stay with the narrative of real estate tokenization always, but we'd love to be on, we just launched to Ethereum and to go on some more chains and to look to see how we can build specific products with those tech stacks as well. That's one thing that we like.
So why did you do it yourself? Why didn't you just go ahead and use some other bridge, Aptos to ETH? Why did you want that bridge to be a prop-based bridge?
Yeah, good question. I think bridging and using third-party bridging providers entirely is inherently super risky. There's not a lot of solutions on Aptos. The biggest solution is Layer 0, and so we went with that. And so for us, we got a lot of support from them, but even so, myself being a blockchain developer, I know how easy it is to make a mistake. So we went through a CertiK audit just to make sure everything was there, and then we don't deploy until post CertiK audit. And CertiK, who's been lovely partners for us, by the way. So
they like when people build things right, though.
Yeah. And it takes a lot of, so we know how to do it. We're on our sixth security audit. We've also used like Hacken and a few others, but we know how to do the whole auditing process. We're ready for it before it comes. So this last one was the easiest one that we went through. I think
That's
even
awesome.
they were like, hey, you guys, there's only one round of feedback, So
wow, that's pretty amazing. One more round of feedback for an audit. That's pretty awesome right there.
Yeah. Some of our other products that could take up to 2 weeks, right? So, but for this one, it took about half the time, about a week, and So I think it's good.
Now, for this marketing push that you have right now, this campaign, you talked about 2 listings. Why are you still focusing on listings? Do you need more listings? Like, what does that bring to the table?
Yeah, it's good. Well, exchanges, remember back in 2022 would get, horrible press, right?
Yeah.
But the reality is that's where most of the users are. So, when we look for a few things that we have we have an exchange listing roadmap internally. We don't publish it. Our objective is to be on all the top 10 exchanges within the next year. And this includes, getting there. And so it's a steep ladder. we obviously, like any project, run into obstacles in doing so. We have to continue, obviously, a continuous growth narrative. But exchange listings for us, one, they're a lot of fun, first and foremost. Number two is that they're good for in terms of strengthening our liquidity, building us up as a stronger token. And we've actually been able to directly see the correlation from, example, if we list on even a smaller exchange, we can see users come from that exchange, and we have this whole, you could say, this whole journey that people can take after they bought props, they watched us for a little bit. We look at it as kind of the gateway for people coming into our RWA ecosystem. So first, you kind of interact with the token. You might buy, you might speculate on it, you might trade it, but then afterwards, you might get bored with that, and then you're looking to figure out, hey, look, what are these guys doing on X? So we're always really active on X, and yeah, exchange listings, they're good for us, and I like them. I'm pro them, and I think that for our native token, that growth also quite helps us. And so as long as we will be fortunate enough to be able to continue that expansion, we will do so. But yeah, it's a great way to get 20, 50,000 new community members, to look at you and figure out, hey, look, what's the RWA narrative even about? So we as kind of mentioned, we've got that two paths. One is, Web 2 to Web 3, but then we're also, hey, look, we want to be deeper into not only the Aptos ecosystem, but also, blockchain communities and stuff. And exchange listings are a great way for us to do it. And we don't do them all at once. We do about every little bit, usually. And so our last year from this year, I think we're on like 11 markets total. So, give or take about every 2 months, somewhere around there. And so this month we've got two. We kind of break them up into two categories. One is a top 10 exchange. Everybody's asking for the name. Everybody wants to know the date. We can't release anything until the exchange partner announces first. So I think a lot of people are familiar with that. And then
it's there you go. Hopefully you got that.
Yeah. Action knows. Yeah. So no. But jokes aside, and then we also do other types of exchange listings. So we call them strategic. So they have approached us. They're doing something with Aptos, whatever the scenario could be, and then we kind of partner along with that.
Got it. And those more specific ones, are they usually like having to do either with the platform that you're on, like Aptos, for example, or sometimes like geographically, maybe something regional that makes sense for the people you're targeting?
Both. So that's the challenge for us. So they have to be integrated with Aptos. And then geographical, right? So one's in the or up and coming exchanges.
Got it.
For us, a very good up and coming exchange for us last year was BingX.
Yeah.
So they were just kind of new on the market, pre-hack, but they were up and coming and still doing a great job in terms of branding, marketing, users, everything, and making sure everything's up and coming. And then there's also new exchanges, that are respective or market leaders in a specific country. We have those here in Thailand, multiple here in Thailand, and each country kind of has their smaller, but yet very targeted to a certain demographic. Mm-hmm. And so for those, sometimes those do really well for us as well. So we always try and go for that, and for us they're also kind of fun, especially if we do them in market months that aren't as exciting. Right. But fortunately for us, August, hopefully, knock on wood, turned out to be a good month. So but for us, when we run marketing campaigns, it doesn't matter if the market's good or bad. We kind of put in plan, we do it anyway.
It's like, it doesn't matter. We're gonna, be awesome either way. Like you guys are up over 40% in the last 30 days. Like things are going okay, I'd say.
Yeah, it's good. So the market responds well. We've got our, another asset offering that we're going to start announcing towards the end of this week. But yeah, it's cool. Look, I think, I'm obviously biased, but I love the products that we build. My technical team is super advanced. We know what we're doing on Move. We know every ins and outs of the language. I think we probably have, in the same team since inception, so,
Wow.
and in terms of product development, how we roll out is, very structured in our approach, right? So we have, a very, very detailed development roadmap. We have, everything that we need in order to build out good products and then to be able to market those products, right? So, which is fun.
Yeah, no, and I love being able to actually educate people when it comes to RWAs, and I use you guys as an example all the time because you're actually, I guess you can say you're doing it right. You're not only bringing assets on chain, you're actually bringing the right assets on chain. And when I say the right assets, it's not only like the assets itself, it's you. Because a lot of people try to bring things that they have no idea about, and it's like, what are you getting yourself into? Do you even know this market? People pretend like, oh yeah, I'm going to build this on Web3, but if you don't actually know the markets outside of Web3, you're in for a world of hurt essentially, because you're going to be fighting two fronts. You're going to try to actually enter a new market and trying to figure out how to, explain that market to people in Web3. So you're losing in all fronts, and you guys are doing the exact opposite of that. You're like, hey, we know this market. We know Web3. We're just going to put it together and move forward with it. Which brings me to a fun little question. Like, what's the goal over the next, I'd say couple of months here? Because we're in this kind of fun little bull market. We're seeing all-time highs left and right. Does it change the strategy that you've had over the years, or slow and steady wins the race, continue to provide that yield, continue to just build, one campaign at a time? Or do you really lean into this bull market narrative and say, all right, guys, we're going to blow up. Let's hype everything up. And how do you approach it?
We do. So, yeah, I mean, it's a good question. So markets for us, I'll have to tell you, when it's a bull market, you need to do a lot less, by the way, right? So it's actually when it's a bear market that you got to get out there and hustle your butt, right? So I mean, especially for my experience, which is, obviously you could say limited, but personally, I think, for us over the next few months, and is pretty much just focusing on everything that we've been doing in the past. So we kind of, even if it's like Propbase Ascend is a great marketing campaign per se, right? But Propbase does marketing every month regardless. We have ambassador programs. We do standard marketing across all socials, very active everywhere, and have one of the best community management teams, I think, in crypto. And when I say that, I'm not joking. I've seen, we have the best, if not, the top notch of community management team in the business, and have had, and the guys know it too, right? So
it shows. It's very different, like having somebody that's getting paid to do a job, or having somebody that's loving the job and they happen to be paid for it. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's completely different.
Yeah, or people who are just they're just passionate. Right. Yeah. So, and they're effectively, qualified community members in themselves. And that's how a lot of them came on board. So I think for the next few months, I love marketing. I love doing it all the time. It's a lot of fun. We never stop doing it. Right. But we like to do pushes. I think we'll probably do towards the end of this year, we'll probably have another similar push. And that will be highly tokened on, or highly focused on RWA. This one is, I would say, more focused on props, top 10 kind of, or props token economy build out. We did the ETH expansion. We've got a few SEX listings, but yeah, I think, and the type of marketing we do is it's also kind of one of the funner parts of the business, by the way. So, even doing AMAs like this, talking with you, and whether it be live or on Twitter or Telegram or whatever, it is kind of where you can really get the pulse of what's going on and how people feel. And But yeah, I think overall we've done a good job. We'll just continue doing on what we've been doing before in the past. And we always like to also try and improve slightly one or two things every week, and kind of creating this culture of ongoing process of improvement, right? And yeah, I think we just continue to get better. We work on things that we can wrap around for the end of the year, and but I think we'll do good. I mean, last year, Action, we were still so new. We barely had few products to mainnet, and but we're very good at building a sustainable business, right? Yeah. So everything we do is consistency is above and beyond the most important.
Which is what RWA should be all about, but some people are still struggling to see that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And, as the narrative heats up, you're going to get a lot of other, builders in the space, people who've coming over from infrastructure plays or whatever, coming to do RWA. And, I think RWA brings a lot of good people. I have friends who are, we have mutual friends who, even similar type platforms, they're still my buddies, right? We still hang out and hang out at Token 2049s and do AMAs together. And I love a lot of the RWA builders in the space. I think everyone's got, a good, unique approach. And personally for me, if everyone's successful, it makes the entire sector look great. As where my last AMA, I got asked about, OM, which was kind of the big issue before. And I have no knowledge or insight into, what other projects do, but I'd love to see, tons of builders do well in the space and continue to create a positive impact. And that's kind of one thing about Propbase, overall, that's kind of one of our objectives. And I do tell to everyone, hey, look, we don't release product until we're 100% confident. If we need to take an extra week or two, we take that time, but we never like to open up any vulnerability for mistake. And so that's kind of always one of our ethos. So we're more conservative in terms of our approach to product deployment as well. And that's done well for us.
And now talking about the people that are coming in here and are just finding out about what you guys do and what you're all about, how do they get involved? How they can actually participate, I guess you can say, is it just that, buying something on a centralized exchange? Are we talking about actually going to the DeFi side of things and getting involved inside of the app? What's the best way to really, both things, learn about what they can do with your platform, and secondly, actually take action on it, pun intended?
Yeah. Awesome. I mean, the first thing to do if you're coming in, I mean, a lot of people interact with our native utility token first, but first and foremost, go to our website. There's a big 33-page white paper. We put a light paper that is more of a condensed read as well, that takes a few minutes. Mm-hmm. Our white paper is peer reviewed. If you want to get the information directly from the source, we love to always reference that. So for someone who's really passionate about RWA projects, you can see directly how we build the tech. And then for people who are just looking to figure out about where's the community at for Propbase, it's the Propbase official Telegram chat. So that's where all the information we have is relayed. It's filled with just amazing community members, people who've known about Propbase, people who are property investors on Propbase, people who've in our ecosystem using all of our products. And so there's always lots of chatter. I think hundreds of comments daily, and by people who are there to help out new people who come in. And that's one of the cool things that we noticed. Propbase for us is our first and only Web3 project, right? So, but seeing that fact that we built a good kind of community that helps other community members get onboarded, and then obviously we've got tons of docs, right? So if you go to our website, you want to get involved in property tokens. We've got a next asset offering coming up next week. Go in, you can look through and you can do the sign up process. It takes 5 minutes. And then we have products where if you don't want to sign up and you want to, use it at a protocol level, we've got the bridge, we've got Propbase yield. So we've kind of got a few different options for whatever level of degree you're interested to get more familiar with Propbase. And that's kind of where you start. We also do ambassador programs, Zeely campaigns, but that's more for, let's say, new community member coming in, wants to invest in property tokens, but maybe they're holding some props first and come in, sign up for one of our memberships. You get discounts on all fees, access to new listings, priority access, everything like that. And there's no cost to it. It's just holding props and you actually get paid, right? So kind of a good deal.
It's definitely a good deal. And yeah, talking about those campaigns and things of that nature, I think that it's just a matter of getting them in the door. Once they kind of come in and hear the community out and see what they're getting themselves into, I think that's a natural path. They're just going to want to do more and want to get involved.
Yeah.
I won't say that the Propbase community is pushy. You don't have to be. They're just excited about what's going on, and they get others excited about it as well. And people just kind of want to do these things naturally. Like, it's super organic. It's nothing that's like manufactured. It's like really cool people that are a part of it doing these things and, wanting to share their experiences with others. And in turn, everyone kind of wins.
Yeah, it's good. I feel comfortable. We've had tons of community members since we launched the campaign, which is now a week ago. Right. So we've already been full on marketing mode for a while. And but we see new community members come in, ask for, just guidance, navigation. So, and then they'll pop back in about a week later and be like, hey, how do I get to this? Right. And how do I set up a wallet on Aptos is the biggest question, that we get, or which wallet provider to use. Right. So,
no. Answer the question. If that's the biggest question, what's the answer?
Yeah.
What's the wallet? What's the wallet they need to use?
What's the wallet? Well, I always recommend specifically Petra Wallet. So Petra Wallet is built and deployed and updated by Aptos Labs. Mm-hmm. So when you have a wallet that's deployed by the layer one and specifically themselves, I've used it for years. I've never once ever encountered any delay or issue or whether it be a mobile app or whether it be on the browser. So they've done a phenomenal job, and they just did a massive release like July 31st and did a whole brand overhaul and everything. And it's supported with Ledger. So you're not, in an ecosystem where, and that's another big thing for us, for us being on Aptos, which is a relatively new chain, but established now, is in the beginning, we were, saying, hey, look, nobody wants to keep, everything on hot wallets, right? Yep. And some chains have had that, issue where, Ledger integration might have taken a while or whatever solution they were going to provide. But Aptos did it well. So we always recommend Petra. I love Brent over there at the Petra team. Quick shout out. Don't know if he'll hear it, but it just also Aptos is filled with nice people. Right. And that was one of the things that I kind of like about it.
So you're talking about bridging here. Let me just put you on the hot seat for a second. Talking about bridging. Great. We can go to ETH and chain abstraction, man. I think that is literally the future. People are not going to be caring about what chain you're on as long as your app works. I think that's kind of where we're headed. But you guys are coding in Move, and another one that is easy Move. Pun intended again, is Sweet. Any plans to expand on to any other chains like that?
Yeah, I get that question. So all of our core products are deployed specifically on Aptos, and I kind of want to keep it that way. We like to get out there a little bit with our token. So the nature of which we bridge is there's in case there's vulnerability or something like that, we have limited exposure. So it's not like it affects Propbase. It could affect, if example, we went to if we bridge some tokens and there wasn't a Uniswap. Fortunately for the one we just did, Uniswap, we quite trusted. But if it was, another DEX, like Sui had a massive DEX breach there, so we're cognizant of the risks of putting too much too quickly. But SWE, I honestly, if it's in Move, we've kind of, how do I put it like this? Aptos does everything that we need. And it would only be if there was some limitations where we needed to have some additional functionality. We couldn't get that, where we would then be forced to expand some of our tokenization products. But Aptos has done a phenomenal job. I honestly, in terms of tech, and I deploy a lot in test environment. I just updated to the new CLI. I mean, I can't keep up with all of the advancements. We just went through a huge fungible asset migration. And so they also, and I know some of the core team who were there at the early days, and even Avery doing an AMA with Propbase. He's the CEO of a massive chain doing AMAs with us, where we're talking about technical upgrades and that kind of stuff, and what he's got going on. But they've done phenomenal. I think that they'll continue to do phenomenal. And but for us, we do like to get out there, specifically first with our native utility token. And our bridge to Ethereum last week was kind of a big one. And we did it last year to Base, which was also quite successful. And so that kind of leads to our strategy going forward over the next 5-10 years of, you're right, kind of blockchain in and of itself is a back-end technology. I think it should be like that. I think builders who are trying to relate to customers need to be able to without compromising decentralization or security to and this is the hard thing to do, right?
Yeah,
so to be able to remove the complexities of a Web3 environment, right? And that's where I kind of see it for us. And that's why I think also exchanges in general, because they're centralized, they've just done it exceptionally well. I mean, there's no complexity between transfer fees and everything. But with that, you have an inherent risk of all of the situations that have happened over the last 10 years. And
what is it?
At the end of the day,
with great power comes great responsibility.
Great power comes great responsibility, right? So, and this is why we like to be on multiple exchanges, is to make sure that Props is not, too focused on one exchange.
Right.
I think that, when building out, we call it no single point of failure, right? I mean, that's the ethos of building out tech stacks that are on blockchain. And everything that Propbase does is to reduce that single point of failure across all aspects of the business. And so I think
so if you guys are listening to this, like this question about SWE, like I know projects going to SWE simply because they want the hype, the hype aspect of it. They're like, oh, these guys are doing something, so we're going to move on there. Some of them don't even, work in Move to begin with, but they are, right? Simply because they want to get the hype aspect of it. And man, I'm so... this is my own opinion, guys. Like Kev has nothing to do with this. Like, you can't pay me to say this. I'm proud of you guys. Like that kind of ethos to say we're going to build where it makes sense for us to build, not simply to cater to somebody's liquidity requirements or the hype factor of the space. I mean, that speaks volumes. I mean, that's why your chart will be steady while others are dumping. It's because you're not focused on the hype factor. Like that hype, it works, but it also comes and goes rather quickly. And if I'm investing in real estate, I don't want something overly volatile. I want to make sure that it actually works, that I can count on it. Like I have rental properties. I don't want to know that my rental property one day is yielding, an extra $1,000 a month, and the next month I'm actually in the whole 2,000. Like that just doesn't work. Like being, when it comes to real estate, like steady definitely wins the race, and sticking to what and focusing on the actual product as opposed to the hype factor of the market, I think goes a long way. And it shows, right? You guys, and give yourself a little credit. You're like, oh, this big guy, like interviewing. You guys are the big guys in Aptos. Let's be serious. You really are. I can't think of anybody else on Aptos that's not only as successful, but as loved as your project is. Because when people come in, they not only stick around, they talk about it. Like the people that get involved with Propbase, they are so excited that they create conversation, and that doesn't go without notice. People see that, and people realize that yes, you guys might not have the largest TVL in the world, but hey, what's the percentage of the tokens that get staked on your platform? Is it like, I don't know, you get at least like 20%?
Yeah, it's between 25, 30%. Yeah,
That's huge.
it's pretty good.
That's huge. Like
Yeah.
that's
Huge.
not pretty good. That's incredible in comparison to so many other people out there. That's so good. Like that's what I'm saying. Like you guys are not only doing it right, you're bringing the right people in, and they are sticking around. They actually want to participate on this thing long term, and I can't wait to see what else you guys bring onto your platform. Because hey, if it's done this well so far, I can't imagine what's next. And not only do you have people here, biting at the bits to get involved and get into these products, we're telling others, we're letting other people know that, hey, if you're looking for not only asset tokenization, but asset tokenization from experts, people that know what they're doing and their core competencies and not, straying away from it, like there's no question in my mind that Propbase should be at the top of everybody's lists.
Yeah. Dude, I mean, I'm biased, but yeah, that's exactly true, right? So we're passionate about doing one particular thing. We like it. Nobody wants to be associated, and we love marketing. We love doing exchange listings. We love doing campaigns. But at the end of the day, nobody wants to hear myself talk about, taking excess risk. Property and real estate tokenization should be a very consistent, model, right? And we put that into another thing that kind of brings me up. Even one of our things where even improving our products, we've got redundancy, so making sure that we've got 100% uptime all the time. People have and good speed, whether you're on mobile internet, which is key. It's actually quite hard building everything responsive and to integrate with wallets and all of the structure and in place. But yeah, we like what we do. I like tokenizing progressive assets, global appeal. I don't like to take any risk with real estate. I hope people understand that. It's why we don't do like pre-construction or off-plan marketing. I mean, I've been in prop tech for a long time. I've dealt with it. I can tell you that it takes a certain type of property developer to deliver on time, on schedule. Challenges just come everywhere. And but for us, the assets, the types when we're tokenized, they've been operating for a few years, not overly too long. So, but within the last 3 to 5 years, and they're all doing really well. I was at a property, our fourth asset, I was trying to shoot the video and we couldn't shoot it because we had too many people walking by us in the lobby. So we had to wait for a time where we could get some time alone. And but yeah, and
love it.
And I think that's
a good problem, guys. We've been sitting like that's actually the shot that you want. Like, get everybody in there, guys. We're trying to shoot this thing, but I'll be honest with you, this property is so popular that we're having trouble actually getting things on foot, on camera without having a ton of people here. So I guess we'll wait until it's midnight or something like that. You're gonna see the spot, but there's only so much we can do. Like, talk about great marketing. That's great marketing right there. You're having trouble sharing the property, sharing what's going on because it's so popular.
Well, another thing, it's also like the one that I'm talking about is Wyndham. It's, what another thing is, this could turn into a play for our fourth asset offering to talk. This could be the launch. No, but it's right next to the biggest exhibition hall, which is in downtown middle of Bangkok, and hosts the largest crypto events. And I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. Tokenizing assets, where people can actually be like, that building right there. And you're like, what? So I think it's fun.
That's where they do DevCon, right?
Yeah, I think they would have, it's called the Queens Convention Center.
That's awesome, man.
They might have done the recent one there. It just opened in the last, actually, don't quote me on it, but it hasn't been open for too long. So, but the last one was there.
I like bringing these sort of things back to what people can actually relate to. I hate new construction when it comes to like houses. I don't know what the market really looks like. I have no idea if people are actually interested in the area. What's that place going to look like after everything else around gets built up? Like it's sometimes a little, there are too many variables. Like, I don't buy real estate like that. I buy real estate that, like my first place, It was 6 years old, and I knew at that time, like, hey, this thing is gonna fly. And within
Mhm.
just a couple of years, it more than doubled in value, because of exactly that. The place was literally ready to boom. I can't ever say that about a new construction. Too many variables when it comes to that, and it's just like I don't feel comfortable. So like if I don't feel
Yeah.
comfortable, buying myself real estate, that's brand spanking new. It's like buying a new car. I feel like you're always going to pay a premium, and you're not going to get the return. Like you're going to drive off the lot, and the value just already dropped a whole bunch. I much rather
Yeah.
know what I'm getting into.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean that, and that's, we've done all the process, the research, and most of these buildings and property developers I've worked with for the last 10 years. So
Yeah.
we know like historical prices. We have a massive database, and we actually get, we get properties below market price because we're able to negotiate and leverage. Hey, look, we'll take all these from you, but we're going to take them at a fair price. And so that's the cool part about tokenization, right? The other type of tokenization is, the price is 30% over market price. And that's when you get into the problem of,
Yeah.
hey, and it still has like one large holder holding all the tokens. So there's no way it can go back up, right?
Well, hopefully you
So
don't get into that problem. That's what I keep telling people. Like, stop
yeah,
making decisions in RWAs that don't make sense. Like doing it
yeah,
the way you're doing it. There should be a discount. There should be benefits to owning, in RWA, things that are on chain versus simply going out there and buying it yourself. So yeah, if there's no benefits, I'm not interested. And obviously, I love what you're doing over there with Propbase, because I see benefits from top to bottom, but both on the on the tech stack aspect of things, the way you're actually building out, but also on the people on the team having the experience and the know-how of bringing things to market the right way.
yeah, yeah. But we're fortunate, and so I think it kind of leads me into like I think for us it's just continued. Another thing that we like to do is we like to try and keep our heads down and focus just on core product development, right? Like today, we've got all these tons of exciting announcements, but today we just announced our product development update, which is massively long, kind of, and for someone who's not technical, kind of slightly hard to read, to understand about con jobs updates, everything, API integration, whether working with BitGo DVNs, right? All the stuff that we do on the background. We publish, in
Cool.
very large updates. And I think another thing about the types of we're also, just because of our backgrounds, the fact that we've been watching in the market, my past businesses, we worked with every property developer in the country. And but I see Thailand, in terms of real estate prices, I think it's going to do very similar to what Dubai has done over the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And Dubai's significantly gone up. And the difference with Thailand is, in Bangkok, you have a massive population. So, you've a massive local population, right? And so, I see the real estate market being incredibly resilient, or just going crazy. And I think that's going to happen. I think it's going to happen in a few countries in Southeast Asia, not only Thailand.
No, I'm 100% with you. Kev, I want to make sure that people get to your app, get to what you're doing. I think by this point in age, everybody knows that it's propbase.app. Everybody can get to it, and familiarize themselves on the app itself. But what about updates? What's the best platform for people to stay updated on what you guys are doing? Like, is it an X? Is it a Telegram? Where do you usually post these things so that people can stay up to date?
Yeah, we do. Okay, so if we're going to make any big announcement, we'll make that announcement on our Telegram channel a day before. And then later you'll see it on X. If we're making big announcements, we're doing it on Telegram a few hours before or a day before. Within our website, we have also an announcement section. You can just go and check out at the homepage. You can go down to our news and articles. You can see last reports. We've got Medium everything. Like I do get a lot of questions about like LinkedIn. LinkedIn, not so much. We just kind of do a little bit of posting over there every now and then, but a biggest part of our focus is really X. So X has been very amazing for us to be able to get out the word. And likely if we're making big announcements, you're going to see it by somebody on Twitter eventually in your newsfeed, right? So we're having a large community means that a lot of people love to share news, which is why we put all of our announcements on Telegram first, right? Because allows for people who are maybe they're not like ambassadors, or they're not key influential people, but maybe they're like, hey, I'm following Propbase and I'm posting about this, and this guy came up with pretty good news, or did a breakdown of an AMA, and then we try and reshare that and stuff. And there's a community member who had like 100 followers. Now he's up to kind of few hundred, and he's out there hustling and posting amazing stuff about Propbase. We have a lot to just for people who like that kind of stuff. We have a lot like and especially the last few months. I mean, we've rolled out a significant amount of product upgrades. My technical team is 10 full-time developers. Wow. Same guys and girls for a long time. So we have largely, about half is female, half is male. And we're able to, and what I saw was we had our 6,000th Jira task, which means that we've done 6,000 things related to product development on Propbase. And it's not like one line item, it's like one task, right? So when we break things down into development goals over like a 2-week, we usually break it down into a few hundred tasks per person, right? And then the objective is just to execute those tasks, right? So that's
incredible. Yeah, I think pretty amazing that you still have the same Jira account and actually keeping track. Usually people don't last that long.
I know. I think we'll be hitting 10,000. I don't know how long, but yeah. But we also, for us, it's nice that the markets, are doing well, but we didn't plan for that. I mean, we planned our August Propbase Ascend when things were quiet, and the reason was because we're like, hey, summer's out, and let's do some things, Yeah. And so I think about every 3 or 4 months, Propbase, run a significant. We have been in the past, and we'll continue to do so in the future. And I mean, overall, good products bring nice assets on chain. Do it progressively and compliantly and safely, and take security as the first goal. And if we decide to delay one thing by a week, so be it. That's kind of our stance. And but for everything that we've done pretty well, we've done on track, as per our technical roadmap, and
which is rare in this space.
Yeah,
being on time.
I know. Yeah, it's also difficult, right? If a project makes changes, then the roadmap kind of goes out the door, and then you got to put in a new one, and then everyone's confused. So for us, no changes, just get better at what we're doing.
I love the consistency with how you guys have been building. Kev, I really, really appreciate it. Like I always say, this is definitely not the last time we'll talk. I want to make sure that people stay up to date with what's going on. Propbase, you guys are doing some phenomenal work there, and it's always exciting to see people doing RWAs the right way, especially now that we're getting a little bit more traction to it. Not Propbase necessarily, but like even outside of it, like the RWA space is growing tremendously, and I know for a fact people are going to look at you as the experts. Good luck. I promise you're going to have tons of people coming up to you and saying, hey, can you advise on how to get this thing done? I got a few of those under my belt right now that are asking for my help. So I can only imagine how busy you're going to be with people actually wanting to have that type of expert insight into what they're trying to accomplish. So guys, please make sure you stay connected with Propbase. These guys are not only doing something really cool, but they're always innovating. They're always, having these updates to their platform, ensuring that they're on more listings. But more than that, that they are actually taking care of the people that are part of that community. Like you just said, Kev, it's a matter of updating those people first inside of the Telegram instead of just pushing the information out, which is not always the most effective if you start things leaking before there's a big announcement. But I love the way that you do that, because I think it's definitely worth it to take care of the people that have been there for you through and through.
Yeah, true. And, hats off to everyone, who watches this. You guys are the ones out there, looking for best projects, checking out what's coming on in the tech space. And it's like people who are following your channel, your community, everything. I mean, it's people who are just passionate about building things using blockchain to create, a new value proposition, right? And consumers always want something new, right? And it's I guess our job as builders out there to do our best in order to deliver that.
I love that. I mean, I'm glad you have that mindset. That's not everybody's mindset, but I love that you're part of it.
Awesome.
Okay. Thank you so much. This has been a phenomenal conversation. Like I said, definitely not the last time we'll talk, but definitely want to get everybody to stay up to date with what you guys are up to. And that's just propbase.app is the place to go, right?
Propbase.app. Yep.
All right. Beautiful, man. Thank you so much. And we'll definitely do this again.
Awesome. See you guys.